Most drivers in Britain have actually never been taught properly how to overtake a cyclist. Let that sink in for a minute. We pass our test, hit the roads, and many of us have never demonstrated that we can actually overtake the most vulnerable road users safely. Often on driving lessons, the opportunities just don't arise. Today I'm showing you some clips of people that would definitely land you in hot water if you're seen to do it. You're talking points on your license and fines. Sometimes more than one offence in a single overtake. And more importantly, we'll talk about how we can avoid becoming one of them. If you haven't seen me before, my name's James. I'm ex-army, ex-trucker, now turned driving instructor. And this channel is about one thing and one thing only, and that's road safety. So if that sounds like your jam and you want to get better every time you get behind the wheel, come and join us. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so you get the notifications. Mainly like-minded people in the comments. There's always going to be one or two. So we start with some simple advice that I teach my learners when we follow cyclists. And the first is actually that I follow usually around about 10 meters behind. So I don't want to be so close that I'm intimidating the cyclist. But equally, I don't want to be that far back that if a suitable opportunity arises, I now am unsafe taking that. Because regardless of what you might read online in dashcam groups, comment sections, etc., cyclists are just as entitled to use the road as the rest of us. Now, when overtaking cyclists, highway code rule 163 states that we should leave at least 1.5 meters of clearance at 30 miles an hour and under, and more clearance when we overtake at higher speeds. That is from extremity to extremity, so wing mirror to door handle, as I incorrectly demonstrated on a Poppy's Plonker and was rightly picked up for doing so. In reality, what this generally means, since this update was given in 2022, is that unless it is completely clear coming the opposite way, we're often not going to be overtaking the cyclist. And that's where patience comes in. Now, first thing I would say is when I'm following someone else that wants to overtake a cyclist, like in this clip, I will hold back. And you can see I'm leaving enough distance so that the car in front doesn't feel intimidated by my presence and will make a decision that they feel safe with. I think when you see bad overtakes, often people will say things like, oh, I felt really pressured from behind, and I don't want to be the reason that's happening to someone else. For those of you that remember the old Guinness adverts, that's a phrase I very regularly use with my learners. Good things come to those who wait. So following this cyclist for a while, the sort of places we don't want to consider overtaking: a bend with a junction, absolutely not. Another bend, no. Crossroads, definitely not. Junction on a bend, absolutely not. That's rules 166 and 167 if you want them in writing. And here's something I ask my learners. If you look at this clip, I asked my learner, imagine a police car coming towards you on a blue light call. How quickly does safe become not safe? So we wait. And what happens eventually? The cycle turns off. So there's good things come to those who wait, paying off. You will either get the perfect overtaking opportunity or the cyclist will turn off. What you don't get is points on your license. So a quick recap, and there's 5 rules that really I would use to teach learners with, and we'll see each of them demonstrated poorly, I'm sure, in the clips that follow. Follow around about 10 meters. Leave at least 1.5 meters at 30 miles an hour and under, and more when you're higher speeds. Don't overtake near junctions or bends. If there's a solid white line, they must be doing no more than 10 miles an hour to even consider overtaking them. And good things come to those who wait. So let's look at those people that either don't know this or just ignore it. This driver decides a blind bend is a really good place to overtake and nearly has a head-on collision. That is a minimum of careless driving that you're looking at, 3 points and a fine. And if they cut back too early, you're now endangering that vulnerable road user. One bad decision could put multiple lives at risk. So rule 166. Do not overtake on a corner or a bend. So this one coming towards me, from their view, it's a very, very bad place to overtake. So from their view, this is what they would have seen, the warning sign telling you of junctions, and you've got a corner and actually a slight brow of the hill as well. So this would now be rule 166 and rule 167 that are being ignored. And again, that's definitely careless driving territory for what? It's a few seconds gained. And this one actually breaks the law. Rule 165, you must not cross or straddle a solid white line nearest you. This cyclist will be definitely doing more than 10 miles an hour. They're going downhill. That's 1 offence. And the clearance may be half a metre. If you're lucky, that's 2 offences. And I always think people that do manoeuvres like this in a van that makes you very easily traceable show even less intelligence than the people that do it just in a car. But solid lines do actually seem to deter very few people. So this one, the cyclist is definitely doing more than 10 miles an hour. The first overtake is therefore illegal. You're crossing the solid white line. The second one's even worse because you cross the solid white line and you enter into this area, which is bordered by a solid line. You must not enter these areas. It's deliberate risk. Meanwhile, we follow safely, and like a pint of Guinness, good things come to those who wait. A few seconds lost, zero risk created. A really weird question that I do get asked a lot actually is, how am I meant to know how fast the cyclist is going? Well, like in this clip, you're actually meant to start following them, use your speedo, and work out what speed they're doing before you even start planning whether you're going to overtake or not. If they're doing 9 to 10 miles an hour, technically you legally could overtake, but it's not safe, so we don't. We're following. Then you've got the hatch markings again that you must not enter into. And again, our favourite rule, good things come to those who wait. Patience wins again. The cyclist turns off. So junctions are the hidden danger. I actually stopped an overtake on a driving lesson. It was this one here. And the reason I stopped it is because we're approaching a junction on the right-hand side. And I'm very glad that I did, because this person emerged without checking left. And had I not intervened, there very well could have been a collision here. That's why we shouldn't overtake approaching junctions. Yes, the other car would be liable because they are coming out from a give-way line. But again, it's no point being correct whilst you've got now the consequences of a head-on collision. Can easily be avoided by just following the simple advice that's given to us in the highway code. And of course that will make some say the usual stuff that I hear, it's only a should. And here's how I look at it. There are essentially 3 levels of advice that the highway code provides me when rules are not directly statute law. So if we look at the looser side of things, if you take rule 188, we should avoid doing a U-turn on a mini roundabout. Now, I've never done a mini roundabout U-turn, and that is because the highway code tells me I shouldn't. And I also know how much confusion it can cause. But take this example on a driving test recently. My student went the wrong way and the examiner instructed her to use this mini roundabout to come round. Now, it's quite a wide one and it's very quiet, so that makes it perfectly safe. Then you've got a strong advice. It's your should rules. You're lucky I'm not live. Mrs. Simpkins. So use rule 162. So before you overtake, yes, you should make sure that it is clear ahead. You should make sure that no one behind you is overtaking you. And yes, you should make sure that there's sufficient gap in front of what you want to overtake. It's not optional. It's real world driving. There is no difference between passing your driving test and then driving on the roads. You should be driving how I drive as a driving instructor all the time. And then you have the strongest level of advice you can be given without it being directly a statute law, which is the do's and do nots. Do not overtake on bends. Do not overtake on the brow of a hill. Do not overtake on corners. If you follow the advice in the highway code, you don't get into trouble, and more importantly, you aren't part of the road statistics that will be coming out later in the year. I find it annoying when I see poor overtakes. I do understand why it happens. I think a lot of people get pressured from what's behind them as well. But at the end of the day, every cyclist out there is loved by someone. They're someone's partner, parent, child, and they just want to get home safely. And actually, it's completely within our hands whether that happens or not. Stay patient, follow the highway code, and remember, good things come to those who wait. Stay safe.